Have you ever considered opening an Etsy shop? Maybe at some point a friend has said to you, you should totally sell that on Etsy. But what does it take to set up a shop? And is that the right choice for you? Stick around while we dive in.
I'm Lisa.
I'm Jade.
I'm Gordon.
I'm Richie, and this is The Jam with Team Marmalead. So what is Marmalead? Is it a set of tools? Is it a resource? Is it education? Yes. Yes, it is. It's all of those. Marmalead helps you grow your sales with real shopper keywords. We use machine learning to take the guesswork out of getting found on Etsy. So if you have an Etsy shop and you want your listings to be found first by shoppers, you want them to show up in the right places where shoppers have an opportunity to buy them, then you want Marmalead. You want the keywords we have, and you want the education and the community around Marmalead to help you get there. Now you can check out Marmalead at marmalead.com, and that is marmalead.com. See you there.
All right, so what are we talking about today, Richie?
So today we're going to talk about, should I sell on Etsy? Now, that's a question that comes up a lot, comes up on the forums, Facebook groups, and it's asked in a bunch of different ways. It could be somebody who is contemplating getting into e-commerce to begin with, and hey, I've heard about Etsy, should I sell on Etsy? Mm-hmm. A new seller that's on Etsy, maybe they haven't gained traction yet, they're still figuring things out, and then they're asking, should I keep going and selling on Etsy? It could be someone that has their own shop or an Amazon shop, and they're thinking, hey, should I sell on Etsy? So it's one question that covers a lot of different ground, and if you're listening to us, if you've been listening to us for a while, chances are you're selling on Etsy. But chances are you're seeing this come up. So we want to give you some different things to think about for those conversations when you see it. And so got a couple different things thinking here as far as like, okay, should I sell on Etsy? Well, is your product handmade, including something you've designed that is being printed by a third party, like t-shirts or coffee mugs, that kind of thing, right? So you designed it, but it's being printed and fulfilled another way. Or is it vintage? So that's one of the things that really sets Etsy apart, is the whole handmade and vintage marketplace. It's different, and that you're not going to be flipping things or, buying things on Alibaba and, selling them on Etsy, or picking them up at Goodwill and selling them on Etsy. You can do that on eBay. You can pull it off on Amazon, but that's not what Etsy's for. So it's kind of a subset.
I definitely agree with that. I mean, the things that you were saying not to do or that you wouldn't do, I never go to Etsy looking for those things. I'm always sort of going for the unique handmade sort of things.
Well, yeah, and I feel like when I'm on Etsy too, I'm like going a level above. Like I'm looking for a different
that's
quality
true too. Yeah, and you kind of know you're buying from kind of a small business. Yeah, it's a quality expectation for sure.
Well, and I also want to connect with the seller. I have zero expectation that I'm going to connect with the seller on Amazon. Yeah. It's just not even something I think about.
Yep.
But on Etsy, I definitely am looking for that experience. So
very true.
Something to think about when you're considering.
On Amazon, I'm actually skeptical about third-party sellers, to be perfectly honest with you.
I am too. Yeah. That's an interesting point. I definitely am.
Yeah.
I understand the way it works, but I also understand that a ton of people want to jump on Amazon and, do this whole kind of warehouse business, buy this stuff overstock, throw it on here. And I don't know, depending on what it is, I'm skeptical. Is it real? Is what I'm going to get real? So when I'm on Amazon, I tend to favor the stuff that's actually sold by Amazon. It's just a different level of trust. On Etsy, like you said, you do trust the shop and you want to know the shop and you connect there. It's different. I've got a totally different level of guard up between the two marketplaces. So really, if you're selling one of those things, selling something handmade, selling something vintage, I think the answer is an automatic yes to should you sell on Etsy. And then as far as why, the biggest reason to is Etsy gets something like 300 million plus visits per month to their marketplace. That's big.
Yeah,
that's huge.
Yeah. Now, I didn't look up how that compares to Amazon, but that's okay because, again, Etsy's a subset. It's people looking for that handmade vintage in a relationship there.
Yeah, it's a different experience, like we were saying, 100%. Yeah.
If you're thinking of the alternative to selling on Etsy as spinning up your own website, and putting your goods out there, and having people come to you, you're going to have a tough time with that because you don't have 300 million visits every month coming to your storefront. You know, it's like you're taking your little lemonade stand from the end of your driveway and moving it into a mall, where there's people there already shopping. And so having that audience is a huge plus.
Yeah. And it's such a weirdly overlooked thing. Like, I feel like sellers are quick to sort of, kind of, I don't know, be a little bit down on the whole Etsy being a part of your business thing. But what Etsy brings to the table is 300 million plus visits to the platform per month, right? Yeah. And so you can't, I don't know why that's so easily overlooked, but you are essentially...
It's a partnership.
Yeah, and it's so many more eyeballs are getting on, or potentially getting on your product than what you could hope to dream to build in a reasonable amount of time just by starting your own website. So
yeah, that's not a thing starting out.
Yeah, so that's a huge thing to me. If you are selling, sort of a part of this fine art world, or, selling something handmade or selling something vintage, just understand the value of 300 million plus visits to a platform per month, and at least let that sink in and inform your decision around whether or not Etsy is the right platform for you. And understand also that your success is what makes them successful. And so they are invested in converting a good portion of those 300 million plus visits into sales, and they're putting a lot of money into making that happen. So there's a lot of weight on that side of the table for you.
Yeah, and you go in looking for one thing, and they're going to pitch you a whole bunch of other things. Mm-hmm. And so if someone goes looking and they're looking at something from someone else's shop, well, they're going to be pitching something from your shop too, right? They want you to go in there and have the full experience. You're going to go and buy a shirt, they want you to buy shorts. You're going to go buy a dress, they want you to go buy some other accessories to go with it. They want you to just buy. And I think that the hardest part of a sale in e-commerce is getting someone to put that first thing in their cart. Mm-hmm. Because once you're shopping, right? But it's kind of like you just got to get that momentum. I mean, same thing with physical shopping malls. Rarely do you see someone at a mall with one kind of bag. Normally, it's a couple, right? They go into one and then they come out and they're like, hey, I'm going to go check out and see what's in here.
That's I know for myself, I consistently do that on Etsy. I end up with, this random thing that I just happened to stumble upon because Etsy was, maybe advertising it on their front page, or, however I came about it. I don't usually just leave with one.
It's so much easier. I mean, cart abandonment in e-commerce is huge. Mm-hmm. And in Etsy, you've got one cart. You don't have to go through the whole, do I need to check out as a guest, or do I need to make an account? Then I make an account and I got to make a password and verify my email and all the different stuff. That wears you out. That's not fun. That's not the fun part of shopping. Fun part about shopping is to buy the stuff and get the stuff. And Etsy makes that easy. And
as a seller, knowing that they're making that easier for your shopper, again, it's another huge plus.
Yeah. Absolutely. And they do a ton of work on making that easy. Yeah. So for no other reason, you want to be part of Etsy because of the huge customer base they bring.
I know folks kind of, at least I see it in the threads a lot, per usual, people saying, well, I think it's going to be better if I start my own website, or I think it's going to be better, over here on this particular marketplace, or this marketplace is starting up. And again, it's just the sheer amount of money that Etsy is investing and the amount of people and skill that they're putting into perfecting this process. They are pretty far ahead of the game and ahead of most of these other marketplaces. That's fair to say, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, who else even comes to mind? Who else are they even competing with at this point?
I mean, I know Amazon Handmade exists out there, but I have really heard very little about them from actual, customers looking for handmade stuff.
I've never been. Not that that's the end all be all, but I've never even been on to Amazon.
I haven't
Handmade.
either.
I always go to Etsy instead.
Yeah.
It's definitely not as differentiated.
Yeah.
It's a thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. No. So that's the thing. It's tempting to think that the grass is greener at other marketplaces or even a standalone site, but I don't believe it is. I think it's still just grass, and you're just seeing it from a different angle. And if you stand over there and look back, you're going to say, oh, it's pretty green over there too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think too, it's a perspective shift that a lot of people need to make, because like you said, Lisa, you hear people complaining. I hear it too, that, all the negativity about
Yeah.
Etsy, but it's that perspective shift of Etsy does not want you to fail. It wants its sellers to succeed, because if they don't, then Etsy isn't. And so, like you said, Richie, like they're dumping in tons of money, tons of advertising. They want you to sell, but you also have to put in the work. You cannot expect that you're just going to pop up a shop on Etsy and throw a few things in there and maybe get a subscription to a set of tools, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's work. It's an investment.
There is no easy button here.
No, it's an investment. You have to put in the strategizing, the planning. But if you do that and you use the tools that you've invested in,
Use the tools that Etsy has invested in for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get, really dive into learning SEO and what you need to do there and optimizing your shop. Like it's a win-win.
Mm-hmm.
Let me jump in real quick to let you know that if you're enjoying this podcast, you should definitely check out our free 3-part mini-series about Etsy SEO. It's designed to take you from what is Etsy SEO to an example of an efficient Marmalead workflow. Check it out at marmalead.com/jam2020.
Hard work is definitely a competitive advantage
For sure.
in itself, right there. Again, it's one of those things. The negativity that is on Etsy about Etsy today is the same negativity as 10 years ago. And look how far Etsy's come in that amount of time. It's never going to stop. In fact, the bigger Etsy gets, the more you'll be able to find negativity, but you'll find that in anything, anywhere. If something new started up today that was supposed to fix all those problems, give it a little bit of time. As soon as they have attention, you're going to get the same negative story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because it's what you're looking for. Exactly. Like if you're looking for the negative side of it, 100% you'll find it, because we're all human and there are humans running all
Nothing's
this stuff.
perfect, but
Yeah, but if you look for the positive, and that's like the mindset that you're in, and we talk about this a lot at Marmalead. We talk about it in our blog posts on Jams, but it's what you think about and what you dwell on is what's gonna basically manifest into your life. And so if you're in that positive mindset of like, hey, I'm going to tackle this is going to be awesome, I'm going to find the best about Etsy, I'm going to do the work, like that is absolutely a recipe for success. And not everybody's story is going to look the same, but it'll be a recipe for success.
Another thing to keep in mind too is Etsy is constantly testing things to try to maximize the potential for their marketplace. So they're testing to see how big should these photos be? Where should the title be placed? How big should the title be? Where should the description go? How many related items should we put on this page? All of that information, they are constantly testing things to set up their marketplace to maximize the experience for their customers and to maximize sales for all of the sellers that are on their platform. If you have your own website, that's not something you're going to have a lot of time to devote for, unless you have a team set aside that sits around and does that sort of stuff and runs analytics for you and makes changes based on the data that they're finding. That's something that Etsy is constantly doing. They're going to keep doing because they want to make sure they're at the forefront of the e-commerce space and being able to do that.
Yeah, great point. I mean, just the sheer amount of resources and numbers that they're bringing to the table are definitely a benefit to the Etsy seller for sure.
Yeah.
So also the truth is that Amazon sellers also want to sell on Etsy. Etsy sellers want to sell on Amazon. And all of that really is fine, right? It's not a big deal. Think about how big brands sell in multiple marketplaces. You want to buy some Silk almond milk, right? Where are you going to find it? Just about every grocery store.
Yeah.
And Target and Walmart. They don't pick. They're not like, oh man, we're selling in Target, but like, I don't know, should we really switch over to Walmart because, of reasons XYZ? It's, sell there too. That's cool.
Yeah.
Try it out. As long as that works out, as long as you're a fit, as long as your customers can be there, sell there too. Because yes, there are people that shop at both. Yes, there are people that shop at one. It's okay. It happens to be wherever they are at that moment where they feel like buying this, you want to be there.
Yeah, it is interesting that people do tend to have sort of an either-or mentality around this. Like, I can only sell on eBay. I just actually had a conversation with somebody not too long ago where they said, Etsy isn't for me. I can't sell on Etsy, so I can only sell on eBay. And it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. I do think that there's plenty of room for you to target, different audiences on Etsy. And you can also target audiences on eBay. Does it take work in both spaces? Yes, we just talked about that. Like Richie said, hard work is a competitive advantage and maybe you don't have the time to put hard work into two spaces. That's, again, 100% up to you. You have to make the choices and decisions, choose the platforms and tools that are right for you. But is there room on Etsy? Does Etsy certainly provide plenty of opportunity? Yes, I wholeheartedly believe they do. And I believe that there is an awful lot of traffic on that platform for it to just be sort of ignored as a really viable possibility for starting a very solid small business.